मेरे को ज़्यादा पैसा भी नहीं लगेगा, पढ़ भी लूँगी. Okay, the role played by National Human Right Commission. So, National Human Right Commission in maintaining the preserving dignity of India's citizen has been satisfactory and up to the expectation. So, National Human Right Commission came into being by a statute of Parliament 1993. Okay, and known as Protection of Human Right Act. So, it's Human Right Act. So, Parliament made this law. Thus, it is a statutory body, and the member of NHRC are appointed by the committee consisting PM and Speaker and Home Minister and Leader of Opposition and okay, and Rajya Sabha and Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Alright, so apart from that, NHRC has a chairperson who must have been Chief Justice of Supreme Court. Before that, he was a Chief Justice of Supreme Court. Now he can be retired Justice of Supreme Court also. Apart from the above members, the Chairperson of National Commission for Minorities, SC/ST, National Commission for Women, and ex-officio Chairman, a member of Commission. So this comprehensive outlook of membership shows NHRC includes every section of society as well as representative or executive and judiciary. So the NHRC reforms many function which plays their role effectively in maintaining and preserving dignity and has been satisfying and up to the expectation. So the prime function of commission is to inquire into complaints of violation of human right in India. It has a great significance because it is a vast and diverse country where there are many instances of human right violation every day. So the National Human Rights Commission has the power to intervene in judicial proceeding involving allegation of human right violation. So it has power to visit any state institution it seemed to be necessary. Not only these functions but the area of research human right in the main institution. So NHRC has the power to review the human rights laws, and if it is think that the existing law have become obsolete while inquiring into complaints of violation of human rights, the commission may call for information or reports from the concerned government and authority and satisfy itself as to action taken by the government. So it may make its own inquiries. If there is no response from government after completion of the inquiry, the commission may take any of the step like recommended prosecution of guilty party or to approach Supreme Court and High Court for appropriate direction. So it can recommend sanction of interim monetary relief to the victim. So the reports can not only national but international ramification, and the union nation favors those nations which have a good track records in human right and find favor internationally. So in India, the NHRC can be doing very well. India has always given the stress on needs of citizen grievance redressal mechanism. So it is acting quite satisfactory, and recent year even rating of India in the field of improved, and India has got the highest rating. So the value of importance is enhanced, and like India where there is a widespread illiteracy and high population, also the diversity in community on the religion contributes. So exploitation of weaker section, the insurgency, cross-border terrorism, Naxalism, an agency that has to tackle and take care of weaker sectionism. So there is another side of Indian social life. Unfortunately, corruption found an acceptance in our social psyche and behavior, and it is often hurts that in India cent and not capitalist are worshipped, but our behavior or behavior patterns show the opposite. So evil like bribery, nepotism, favoritism has come to be accepted in society, and whatever the people may say, it's coffee house and seminar, they show respect and how to corrupt. So they vote them to power, they genuflect before them, and they seek favor from them, which they know is not their dues. And this group psyche is very infertile soil for growth, and so it is very difficult to curb corruption and in the atmosphere. So administrative procedure practice are cumbersome and dilatory. So this is added by the negative attitude of bureaucracy, and red tapeism is also there. So factors let intense environment and factor for corruption fertilization. So these are the problems in nowadays. So now the role of played by National Human Right Commission in maintaining preserving dignity. dignity of Indian citizen has satisfactory and up to the expectation. Elucidate. So National Human Rights Commission came into being by an statute of parliament. Protection of human rights, it is a statutory body and the member appointed by committee, which I described before. And this comprehensive outlook, like this question is quite similar, we discussed before. Now we are going to discuss next question. Okay. Information is the power. Information is the power. Nothing can perhaps empower a citizen more than the secret and developmental information needs by various public authority. Analyze the merits and demerits of RTI Act, Right to Information Act of 2005 in the lights of a statement. So the 21st century, okay, driven primarily by the information, and the flow of information from public authority to citizen determine the process of development. The administrator of India rightly recognized importance and gave a statutory protection to flow information through Right to Information Act. So RTI Act 2005, it is like gave statutory, it's statutory, okay, statutory provision given to the this act. So, like any their landmark development, the enactment of Right to Information Act both many unprecedented benefit to the Indian political and social administration setup. Some significant advantage which is aimed to derive by the obtaining the secret and development information. So first of all, it aims to achieve the transparency functioning of the administration setup. Earlier, when crucial information were held by the public authority on the name of secrecy and with the help of acts like the Indian Evidence Act, Official Secret Act, all these invariable led to red tape. Due to this, administration got alleviated with the citizen and sense of isolation and secrecy in functioning. So in fact, this become a root cause of misuse of powers, and the RTI Act is a suitable weapon to hit these evils and bring transparency in the administration. Now second one is, moreover, it makes public authority responsible, accountable. Earlier they enjoyed absolute power on the bank of valuable information, but with something flow information they have to respond to the citizens. And for example, earlier the planning process, proposed means, budget estimates, expenditure were used to be kept secret, but now it's are open for the public. Third, like all these have given a severe jolt to that menace of corruption, and the increasing transparency, accountability, public authority have reduced the scope of using the discretion and led to the increased economy efficiency and public resources. And the process, tender, inviting contract, awarding contract have become all the more open and transparent. Now we can think about a corruption free future also. Now third one is RTI Act 2005 are also visible on the citizen. Now the level of awareness and consciousness toward their rights duty is certainly rising, and revolution to RTI bringing in country now this rights steps towards empowerment of the Indian society. Next, there are many exemptions like RTI Act on the name of integrity, security, foreign countries related to the defense establishment, and attempt to keep files noting treaty with foreign countries related to defense establishment, even were attempt to keep file noting. So RTA Act, all these don't sound well for the enactment of RTA Act. It restricts the fruit of great act of betterment of the people. But moreover, there is a wide political bureaucratic apathy toward the successful implementation, and there are attempts to find out the loopholes in the act and deny public their information, and the classification of any information as the material or not is very vague. So this clause is being used frequently for denying the information. Apart from all this thing, there is a gross unawareness about in the society large towards this act. So it has been widely publicized. Still, its users are from only a fraction of large Indian society. There's also a tendency to use this act for narrow and parochial purpose. The intention of application of RTI Act are generally negative, narrow, and the personal enmity and the grievance take over the larger social betterment. So still, Right to Information Act has brought about significant change in the administration setup, but it is just its beginning. Okay, now it's very big questions. Next one is question number 4. So in India there appears to be more disaster of management than manage of disaster. So it's a question on the Disaster Management Act. Disaster Management Act. Okay, the National Disaster Act defines a disaster as natural and man-made. So there are natural and man-made. Okay, and the cause substantial loss of life, property, environment. Disaster means catastrophe, misshape, calamity, grave occurrence in the area arising from natural man-made cause or by accident, negligence, which result in substantial loss of life, human suffering, damage to and destruction property and degradation of environment. Even Second Administration Commission defines crisis an emergent situation arising natural and human activity which pose threat to the human life and property or leads to large scale disruption of normal life. Okay, so as a India, it is such a big country. Sometimes managing disaster become problematic, and sometimes disaster may be due to earthquakes, tsunami, it may be due to terror attacks, but it becomes difficult to reach the victim. So there is presence of corruption, there is may leakage of fund will not reach to the victim. Sometimes government alone cannot handle the situation, but there is a lack of participation of people, management of this. Instead, prevention government trying only to cure it. Therefore, it is becoming difficult to manage. And India is very vast country with in different topographic features. So these are some problems. Okay, now next question is India has failed to devise a long-term strategy for drought management. Okay, so see the drought is a natural disaster owing to decreased rainfall in comparison to normal level in a year. So disaster management is the discipline of dealing with and avoiding risk. It is a discipline that involves preparing for disaster before it occurs, disaster response, as well as supporting and rebuilding society, natural or human made disaster. So it is we should take some phases like mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery. So first will be the mitigation, second will be the preparedness, third will be the response, and fourth will be the recovery. So due to its geographical location, 68% of land is prone to the drought, and most of the Indian agriculture depends on monsoon and for irrigation. However, this year the monsoon came delayed and very low annual rainfall in comparison to previous year, causing drought. And the drought has caused not only loss of crops but cattle as well as hunger death in area of Bundelkhand, Vidarbha, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, which could be prevented by proper mitigation. And however, government of India is lacking mitigation strategy in drought prone area. It can be achieved by rain water harvesting, interlinking of rivers, sprinkler, water saving irrigation method, promotion of well and as easily transportation, roads and railway. However, even after 16 years of independence, government of India have no mitigation strategy. On the other hand, preparedness, response, recovery aspect of disasters are also not adequate as per the quarter of disaster. So in the wake of second nhrc recommendation, National Disaster Management Authority headed by PM constituted national level. The state government is mainly responsible for disaster management. The central government assists them, and therefore state level disaster management authority headed by the chief secretary government assists them in the efforts. So therefore state level disaster management of a state and a district level district management authority carried DM has been formulated. However, it is yet to be functional. As far as mitigation is concerned, there is lack of competent worker volunteer to deal with the challenges in the drought prone area. It is mostly poor and weaker section who are victim of disaster. So therefore, it is responsibility of various level of government to have proper strategy to deal with the natural calamities. Okay, next question is do you agree with the citizen charter in the India have not succeeded in the objective? So citizen centric government, citizen charter. Citizen centric government like analyze the given suggestion for this regard. So in the democratic welfare state, a very important aspect of administration is a legitimacy. This legitimacy of administration is outcome of accountability, transparency, citizen friendliness. Citizen charter is an effort to achieve very goal. In fact, it is meant to enforce good governance and not legally enforceable agreement. Rather, it is a local commitment of the public agency to make citizen the center of the activity, and then being a passive recipient of the service welfare or regulatory rendered indifferently. So further, it doesn't create any new legal rights, but rather only stipulate act that already exist and detail good service norms. So it is not a legal right, not a legally enforceable agreement. Rather, it is a local commitment of the public agency to make citizen the center of its activity. Okay, and the citizen charter had its origin from the UK. So it's in UK 1970. However, in India it was first promoted by the consumer organization Common Cause. So that was the Common Cause. 1994. The next step came from the PM called the Conference of Chief Secretary to develop an agenda for the effective and responsive administration. So chief secretary also involved in that, PM also involved in that, to effective and responsive administration. And the conference recommended a phased introduction of citizen charter for as many service institution. Later chief ministry conference, okay, its conference was it was the recommendation for the implementation of citizen charter in a most departments. So for the India has about 95% charter, and the citizen charter is one of the department which nothing but list of activities procedure involved to providing services to the citizen in given time frame, as well as grievance redressal mechanism in case of failure to do so. So, however, the Citizen Charters India and its implementation is not at part of the expectation, but CN Ray study highlights like there is a great radiation in the across organization term of information provided, procedures stipulated, and the grievance redressal. Most charter accept that the Indian Railway neglect the compensation non-adherence. Most charter have been framed by the organization without participation of citizen, while the senior officers are very supportive and the concept lower cutting edge functionary are not very enthusiastic and call for training and orientation program. As a now, like citizen charter in India cover only public agency. With economic liberalization, private agency are providing the public service too. So this is too should be covered. A few charter do find the individual responsibility. Ministry of Consumer Affairs have proposed grassroots committee for monitoring taking the outlets. So what are the weakness of citizen charter? It is based on the philosophy of satisfying the individual consumer rather than community as a whole. This could jeopardize the interest of the community. There is no mention of the citizen responsibility. Governance can't become very strict where citizens have only entitlement and no obligation. So sometimes participation may not be best approach. Okay, so the performance of grievance redressal system has been found to be below par. So lack of adequate sanctions to enforce adherence to the charter, and not a very effective device for the illiterate to ensure the accountability. So in view of all above mentioned details, the citizen charter movement in India is yet to be achieved. It is due to some extent of lack of political and administrative willpower, inadequate publication of citizen charter, huge mass of unawareness, illiterate people. Therefore, the citizen charter as a being component of new public management and tool of good governance is yet to be implemented. What are the problem of charter? Like lack of adequate sanction to enforce adherence to the charter, not a very effective device to illiterate to ensure accountability, and there is no mention the citizen responsibility. Governance can't become very strict where citizens have only entitlements and obligation. It is based on the philosophy of satisfying the individual consumer rather the community. So these are the some problem. Okay, next is National Human Rights Commission has done a commendable job in the developing a sense of responsibility among the organization towards the protection of human rights. So it is National Human Rights Commission, a statutory body under the law of 1993, and there is the five-member body, President of India, which includes chairperson who has the Chief Justice of Supreme Court, and one member of Judge of Supreme Court, and one member of Chief Justice of High Court, two members appointed by the among the person having knowledge of practical experience of relating to human rights. And the chairperson of National Commission for Women, Minority, SC, ST, ex officio members. So what are the work of this chart? This inquire on initiative on the petition presented to the victim and violation of human right, negligence in the prevention of such violations, intervene in the proceeding involving the allegation of violation of human rights pending before the courts which approval of such court, visit under intimation to the state government, any jail or any other institution under the control of state government where person are detained or lodged for the purpose of treatment, reformation, protection, to study the living condition of inmates and make the recommendation therefore. And what the more review the safeguard under the constitution law for the being a force for the protection of human rights, and recommendation measure effective implementation, review the fact including the terrorism, enjoyment of human rights, and recommend appropriate remedial measures, study treaties and other international instrument of human rights, make the recommendation for their effective implementation, undertake the promote the research and spread human right literacy, various section of society, promote awareness, safeguard available for the protection of these rights, publications, media, seminars, available means, encourage the efforts of non-governmental organization and institution working the field of human rights. Such other functions are like necessary promotion of human rights are being wasted for following like summoning and enforcing the attendance of witness and examining the oath, discovery and production of document, receiving evidence and affidavits, requisiting any public or record and copy thereof from any court, issuing commission for the examination witness or document, any other matter which is prescribed. So the autonomy of commission derives inter alia from the method of appointing the chairperson member. 50 is the fixed tenure statutory guarantee thereto, the status they have been accorded and manner in which staff responsible to the commission. So investigation agency which are appointed by the conduct themselves. Financial autonomy have been spelled out at section 32 and has taken major initiative like stress on citizen liberty, review the status of tada pota, prevention of terrorism bill, protection of human right area, insurgency and terrorism, step to check custodian death, rape and torture, discussion of adoption of refugee law, systematic reform at police, prison and other center detection, review the law implementation treaty and the international instrument, elimination of bonded labor, child labor, public health and human right issue, human right of person affected HIV and AIDS, right of the valuable group ST and all that, right of the notified and nomadic tribes, elimination of manual scavenging, national rural employment guarantee scheme, domestic violence. Due to initiative nhrc, all these change and reform could become possible. It has not only imposed ban or arbitrary action police and armed forces disturbed area, but developed a sense of responsibility regard the human rights. So human rights commission has achieved all the, though it has no investigation agency of its own, like a political support, but thus even after its limitation it has done tremendous work for the improving human right conditions. So next question is, disaster issuance is a desirable but not an easy proposition to implement. Illustrate the examples. So next question is on the disaster. See, the disaster insurance, which includes earthquake, avalanche, flood, and health, many more. The insurance sector through provide healthcare insurance, medical insurance, people claim road accident insurance, but it has been found that magnitude of hazard include loss of property and displacement. Disaster insurance, which is yet not matured in India, been playing for more. So through disaster management authority has been constituted, yet absence of proper policy regarding has not been formed. So disaster insurance need people awareness, financial position which could not be realized, as it is been fraud that many health hazard has not been fulfilled. So many disease could not be covered under the scheme, as it has been seen people with different walk of life could not afford it. Even the rapid climate change, environmental change, also disaster insurance reduce the time gap between the disaster even recovery investment. So guaranteed financial support in the aftermath of disaster help to people recover soon. So but it is not easy, as many people get displaced, absence of proper policy, it could not be realized, people hesitation to get medical claim, target groupness that design policy according to the people needs and casualty. So crucial is the integration of insurance disaster perspective in all the development planning activity and local government. This will reduce the transaction cost and production to the development investment. So in today competitive environment, several insurance agencies are doing aggressive marketing and the tie up with the NGO and audit performance credibility of NGO. If this fraud took place, the committee could take action. So this was like what kind of problem in the disaster insurance in India and how to deal with that. Okay. Next, identify the different concept of category of disaster and write a note on new culture of disaster management. So first of all, the definition of disaster is given by the WHO and UN to result vast ecological breakdown in the relationship of between man and environment. So it is a damage result from the impact of society that constitute the disaster, not the event that disaster, health disaster, hazard disaster. Health disaster is event that result in causality that overwhelm and healthcare system in which the events occur. A health disaster include impaired public health and medical care. And the hazards is anything that may pose a danger, thus it is used in the natural and man-made phenomena or mixture of both that are potential to adversely affect the human health and properly actively. So two things are there, one is disaster, second is the hazard. Okay, now See, there is the seismic hazards. That is the earthquake, volcano, tsunami, and celestial bodies. Climatic is the meteorological, high wind, gale storm, tropical cyclone, tornado, drought, desertification, flood, avalanche. And mixed and natural and human cause is the drought, desertification, flood, erosion. Technology related is chemical, biological, nuclear, transfer, structural conflicts, and risk of the objective or the subjective probability that something negative will happen, and the probability of cyclone becoming realized in India huge compared to the probability such as event will occur in India. Hitherto, the approach towards coping with the effect of natural disaster have been past disaster management involving many problems such as law and order, evacuation, warming, communication, search, rescue, firefighting, medical assistance. After it, government took initiative to take help. Even NGO and civil society also participate in this. It is forgotten till the needs one occur either in the same area or in the some other parties. So what can be done? However, it is to take preventive measures and various level of society in order to make the impact of such natural hazards as harmless for people and people properties. The impact of the natural hazards can be reduced. Its worst effect can be prevented. So early warning. Building codes do exist against the surge exclusion. Prescribed means today to save life and properties. Development planning is needed. Reintegrate the development plan, regulation and mitigation and construction of roads, railway line, bridge should be according to the topography and geology, and this needs a bottom-up approach and policy making. Afforestation, environment protection, construction of earthquake resistant structure would have priority of implementation. What is important is to introduce a culture of prevention in disaster management, and all communities at all level action to save life must be later before disaster risk. Okay, so after that we will, this was the today's chapter.